Hey guys, welcome back to The Bright Side. Macy here, The Bright Side Girl, and today we're going to be doing my November reading wrap-up. So this is going to be all the books that I read from November 1st until November 27th, because the next day I started Jingle Bellathon, and I will have a whole wrap-up for Jingle Bellathon by itself. Even though I read a couple books at the end of November, they won't be in this video, but they will be in the photo at the end. You'll see coming up. Didn't read a ton in November. I kind of relaxed after like the hustle and bustle of Halloween season and spooky season, and I was trying to finish up some more series. I didn't do the best job with that, but I did a few things, and so we're just going to talk about them here now. You'll have to forgive me. I am kind of recovering from a cold, so I've got nasaliness and weird sounds happening. It's going to be like this for a couple videos. You're just gonna have to bear with me because I gotta get these up. Okay, the first audiobook that I finished was The Creeps by John Connolly. This is the final book in the Gates by John Connolly trilogy, which is a middle grade spooky Halloween trilogy all about a young boy and his dog Bosco discover that their neighbors have opened up the portals of hell. I've talked about it in a few videos. This was the final book. It's very quirky and funny. The narrator is Tim Gerard Reynolds, who also does Red Rising. I love him. These are very good, but you kind of have to really be in the mood for them, especially the last two, because they're very, very quirky and wacky and fun. So I only gave this one, I think, 3.5 stars. I liked the first one the best overall, but I still really enjoy it and recommend this series, especially for fall. Then I listened to Destiny of the Dead by Kel Cade. This is the second book in the Fate of the Fallen series. I'm not sure if it's going to be a trilogy, a quartet, or what. This is an adult fantasy series that I'm really, really enjoying. The narrator for this one is excellent. The first book is Fate of the Fallen, which is one of my favorite series of the year when I read it, and it's basically a twist on the Chosen One trope. It's got a full cast of characters. We've got elves and like goblins and gods and goddesses and a lot of things happening, and it has a lot going on. So just go into it knowing that it's still kind of a high fantasy, even though it's got like a quirky kind of humorous style about it, which I really enjoy. It doesn't take itself too seriously. I did really enjoy this second installment. I think I liked the first book better, but I'm looking forward to reading the rest. So I gave this one, I think, 3.5 or 4 stars. Then I reread The Water Mirror by Kai Meyer via audiobook. It's narrator right here. Loved him. He was so good. So this is a spooky middle grade trilogy. I wanted to reread this so I could finish the series. And I really, really enjoyed this upon rereading, like maybe even more than I did the first time. This has a lot to do with mermaids, which is really cool. You're following these two orphans that meet and become friends. One is blind, and they both basically get hired to kind of apprentice these different like creators. We're in this heavy magical world where like stone lions are what the policemen ride, and mermaids pull the boats through the canals of Venice. They're kind of treated more like animals. We have a water queen, we have the devil, we have all kinds of different things in here. Definitely has a spooky vibe, nothing too crazy. I really, really enjoyed it. It's just so well written and so well done, and I love the mermaid aspect, and I love following the twins, and they get to learn how to like make mirrors and different things, and it's just very, very whimsical and one of my favorite middle grade reads. Then I listened to Cursed by Marissa Meyer, finishing up this duology. Narrator is Rebecca Solar, who is probably in my top 3 favorite female narrators. I love her. She does all of Marissa Meyer's books. This is in a spooky, horror-esque, young adult duology. I don't think that it's very scary or terrifying or anything like that. Marissa Meyer has a way of making things kind of Disney-esque, I'd say, but I've heard other people think that it was kind of scary and a little bit intense. It definitely is darker. I didn't feel like it was crazy. Basically, it's a loose retelling of Rumpelstiltskin, and you're following your main character who is said to have been like cursed or blessed by the god. She's like spinning wheels in her irises, and she is able to like weave these magical tales, and people kind of get entranced in her stories. And then she tells this tale about being able to spin straw into gold, and this like elven goblin king that lives in this creepy castle comes to her and like captures her and wants her to spin straw into gold, but of course she doesn't know how to do it. And it's just a whole thing. There's a really great romance in here. There is just so much to discover. I really loved the first book. It was almost a 5-star. The second book, I felt like it was too long, or it should have been a trilogy because it was like an 18-hour audiobook and there was just so many things happening, but it also felt kind of slow at parts. So I really enjoyed this still as a whole. There's just really great character development and you fall in love with the characters, which is Marissa Meyer's like strong suit. I just felt like it was a tiny bit too long, so I think I only gave this 3.5 stars, but I'd still recommend the trilogy, the duology as a whole. Next up, I read Demon Glass by Rachel Hawkins. This is part of the Hex Hall trilogy. I was really trying to finish this series before the end of the month. I only have one book left. I'm debating on whether or not I'm going to actually read it. I really don't enjoy the narrator for these audiobooks, but I'm not in the mood to physically read them either. This is basically set where our main character is a witch and she has to go to this fancy boarding school where everybody has different powers and is like vampires and witches and ghosts. And so it's got like a whole paranormal thing, a young adult trilogy. I really liked the first book and I did enjoy this second one, but I think because I didn't really love the narrator, she's not bad, but it just felt kind of dull to me. I just preferred physically reading them. I really struggled to get through this even though it was only an 8-hour audio, which takes me like 4 or 5 hours. So I think I only gave this one 3 stars, but it's probably better than that. I just need to physically read them to enjoy them a little more. And then the last audiobook that I finished that I completed was Midnight in Everwood by M.A. Kuznar. I meant to finish this last year and I just did a really bad job of getting to my holiday Christmas books last year. So I believe it's considered an adult Nutcracker retelling. I would put it in the young adult category. There's no like really spicy content in it. Everything in here is still very PG for the most part, so I felt like it was young adult more so. This is just a magical, beautiful world. It's kind of got like a Narnia vibe. I really enjoyed this, but again, I felt like it was a tiny bit on the long side for what it was. The Nutcracker itself is such a short story that sometimes when it gets drawn out, I feel like it feels like a little bit lengthy, and I did want a little bit more from the romance in here, but overall I still really enjoyed it. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. The narrator for it is very good. It's perfect for Christmas time. Also, beautiful cover. I had one more audiobook that I started this month, but I'm going to talk about it after I talk about my physical read, so hang on. Alright, then on my unfinished series list, I read Breathe by Penny Russon. This is the second in the series, the first book being Undine. And Undine I originally read because I thought it was mermaidy. It's not really. It's got like elemental magic to it. They're kind of hard to explain. They're very strange books, but I did really enjoy this one. I like the first one quite a bit, but I think I enjoyed this one almost more. It's just very odd, and I feel like people are either gonna love it or really dislike it, but I really enjoyed this series, basically following a girl that learns that she has like elemental powers and she doesn't really know her dad, so she kind of gets to know him. She has a baby brother and a mother that really love her and a best friend, and she's kind of growing up and learning things as well. And in this book we just kind of continue on with the story and learn more about the magic in the world, and I did really enjoy this one, so I think I gave it like 3.75 stars, and it's a quick physical read. Then I finished Lock and Key Head Games. So this is the second book in the Lock and Key graphic novel series. I love the Lock and Key show. I really need to watch the new season of Lock and Key, but I figured I would check out the origin story first. So these are written by Joe Hill, which is Stephen King's son. These books are very dark. I enjoyed the first one because I liked the show and I didn't mind the darkness so much because the show has bits of that as well. But in here it just got a little too dark in ways that I don't like, a little bit too like abusive and just kind of depressing, which can happen sometimes more with graphic novels. The show has some lighter points about it, even though it's got dark elements and it's a little bit more about the magic. So I won't be continuing on with the series, but it is well written and the graphics are very cool. Just know going into it that the content is very, very dark. I don't know if this is considered young adult or adult. I would consider it more adult, even though it's about the kids of the house, but there you go. Then I read Plants vs. Zombies, Lawn of Doom. So I love the Plants vs. Zombies game. It is my traveling game. So whenever we're like in an airport or have a really long car ride or road trip, I play Plants vs. Zombies while I like listen to audiobooks, and I really love it. It's just a free app that I really enjoy. I like plants, and apparently I like zombies as well. So I thought I would get the book. I think this is actually number 8. I don't know if it matters if you go in order because they're just really silly and fun, and they just use things that happen in the game, like different types of plants that you use and zombies. It was just really, really cute, and I love the art for this game and the books. So this is their Halloween edition, and I'm going to be reading the Christmas edition here very soon. So I enjoy it. If you like the game, I'd recommend checking them out. They're really fun and kind of just silly and a quick read. I was trying to get in some short reads before the end of the year because I'm trying to hit my goal, and I was like, hey, let's check it out. So I think I gave it 4 stars because I like it. And then the last thing that I physically read was Nutcracker in the Four Realms, The Secret of the Realms, an extended novelization by, this bugs me about these types of books because it's hard to find the author, Meredith Russo. Okay, so this is the movie in book form. So the movie came first, and this is the Disney movie in book form. However, you're also getting an extension, so you're getting the background of the Four Realms and how they were made and Clara's mother. I absolutely loved this. I have not been liking the Disney reads lately, and I have not been liking novelizations as much as like the movies, but this was done so well. The writing was great. It just sucked me right back into the movie. The art is so beautiful on some of the chapter headers. I really love learning the background on Clara's mother and how the realms were created and how everything happened. So I highly recommend this. I gave it 4 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was perfect for Christmas time, and I love the movie as well if you haven't checked it out. So highly recommend. Okay, here we go. So the last thing that I read / listened to was Kingdom of the Feared by Carrie Maniscalco. I'm not going to go too in depth because I DNF'd the heck out of this book. I really enjoyed Kingdom of the Wicked. I did not enjoy Kingdom of the Cursed. I really don't like it when books start out YA and then change to adult or new adult. I feel like they need to stick with the genre, because if a young adult reads the book, they're going to keep reading the series regardless of whether the genre changes. I feel that way with middle grade as well for the most part. And book 2, Kingdom of the Cursed, went straight into like new adult smutty territory pretty intensely, and I really pushed myself to finish it because to me it was just all about the smut. Which, if you like smutty reads, that's totally fine. But that was not how the books were like advertised to me starting out, and I didn't like the shift. If we would have gotten that more in the first book, then I would have known that the second book probably wasn't for me, and it just wasn't my series. But because it wasn't really like that in the first book, and it just totally took a turn, I was shocked. Now we are in like the land of lust at certain points, so I get that it was more intense at that part. Fine, that makes sense for the story. But I just felt like we lost a lot of the story with this second book. So I was hoping that the third book would kind of bring them both together, maybe cool it a little bit on the smut, and go back to the original story, kind of combining the two. And it did not. It started off straight with a smutty scene, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And honestly, I felt like this book should be classified as erotica. It's not just smutty. It has so much detail and so many scenes that I was like just kind of in shock, honestly. And I don't read a lot of smutty style books, but also it wasn't just the smut itself. It was like the way that it was done. It wasn't done like in a romantic way. It was just really overly dirty, and honestly at parts kind of gross. Like, I'm sorry if I'm offending you if you love this book, like that's totally fine. I just want to prepare people that don't really know much about it, or that maybe don't like smut like I do. Like, I just feel like we need to have a different category for books that are going to be this much about the sex. Like, they need to have their own category so that people that want to find them can find them, and the people that don't want that will know. Because I really tried, and I just did not care about the story anymore. Probably like 10 chapters in, because it was just all about the smut. Like, I just felt like it totally lost the story, and the main character just didn't care about anything else. So, very sad. I will be unhauling the series. I love Carrie Maniscalco's Stalking Jack the Ripper series, so if you are like me, don't enjoy this series, please still read Stalking Jack the Ripper. It even has a little bit of smut in the last book, and I loved it. It was great. But these, I felt like she was being pushed to write things to be like shocking, and it was. So, and it really was sad. This was my biggest disappointment of the year, was this whole trilogy. And I'm in shock because I thought it was going to be like one of my favorite things. Okay, so there. I said it. I do not leave reviews for books that I DNF on Goodreads. I just don't feel like it's fair to rate something that you didn't finish, even if it was terrible the whole time or you didn't enjoy it. So I do talk about them here, but I don't really leave reviews for them, just so you know. I have a little DNF shelf that I put them on. Just FYI. Okay, so here are The audiobooks I finished. A couple extra on here that I finished during Jingle Bellathon that I'll talk about in that video. And then here are the physical reads that I finished for November. I like to keep everything succinct so that it's all the November books, even if I'm not talking about them. And then for unfinished series, I'm not going to talk too much in detail about this until the end of the year, but I've updated things and added things that I started this year, and I'm still kind of working on it because I'm not going to finish any more series, I don't think, by the end of the year, but I will like talk about that in probably my December wrap up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you've read any of these books or if you're interested in any of them. Let me know how many books you read for November down below in the comments. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at The Bright Side Girl for more bookish and non-bookish content, and especially holiday content this time of year. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I post videos at least 2 times a week, sometimes more, usually a lot more around the holidays. I will have a ton of videos coming out, all focused on end of the year goals, wrap-ups. I have a fun video that I want to do towards the very end of December, and then I'll have a lot of videos come out in the beginning of January announcing readathons, talking about goals. So there's going to be a lot of content coming your way. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time on The Bright Side.